Yeah, okay, whatever. Irrelevant. I'm not even gonna mention
Yeah,
it.
we hit double digits, so
Yeah,
we're good
exactly.
until we get to like
Counting anymore.
50.
Right,
Once we when
exactly.
we
And
get
then
to
like
episode 50,
special
that's gonna
episode
be
50.
yeah.
Everybody taking their shirt off. Um all right, here we go. Okay. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Sports Gaming Anonymous podcast. I am Flash, aka Ree, aka Flash Extreme, and with me is the best producer in the business, Dre Wingate. What's up?
What up? What up? It's late. I'm tired. I'm ready to
It
go to
is late.
bed.
Yeah, it's late, but that's okay though. It's late. It's just the two of us here. You know, we might be having some other members join in. If they do, they'll just jump in. If not, they won't, and we'll just keep talking. And that's how we do things around here at
That's
Sports
right.
Gaming Anonymous.
Keep
So
that
how
streak
you?
alive.
Yeah, keep that streak alive. How you feeling? How them Celtics doing?
Whew. So we were a perfect 6-0 in the playoffs.
Well,
Lost game 3 in a heartbreaker. Because it's one of those games like this is why I hate listening. I love it and hate it at the same time. Like listening and watching like sports radio and different sports shows like, First Take, Undisputed, stuff like that.
I don't even listen to those
Because
things anymore.
they've got to be, for rating purposes, like they have to be polarizing in what they talk about. So, when the Celtics were doing well, everybody was talking about us. Everybody was like, "Hey, watch out for Boston. Boston this, Boston that. Don't sleep on Boston." It sounds great as a fan. I'm like, "Yeah, give us give us our due, our
Yeah,
respect,
hype
and
us
things
up.
like that." And then we lose one game, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, like Boston, what are you doing? You just let the Raptors back into the series, yada yada. Jaylen Brown, this, Daniel Tice, this, Jason Tatum, this." Like they just want to dissect everything. And that last play, like OG hit an amazing 3-point shot. Kyle Lowry did an even better job throwing the ball to him. Like everything had to be perfect for that shot to even go off and have a chance of even making it. Yeah, maybe Brad Stevens should have just went straight up man to man in that situation, but that was the hole in the zone, and he probably didn't think, hey, if I got Taco in here versus Kyle Lowry can't get this ball over Taco accurately. So I don't really fault us for that. And then we lose game 4 by like 8-9 points, something like that. Jaylen Brown didn't have the best of games. So the series is tied 2-2. And everyone's just like, oh, y'all let the Raptors back into the series, yada, yada. But here's my thing. Here's why I hate it. I had us winning the series in 6.
Mm-hmm.
So right now we're still on pace to win the series in 6.
Right.
So that means if I picked us to win in 6, that means obviously we were going to lose 2 games. Now, I didn't say that, we're going to be up 2-0 and then we're going to lose the next 2 games and, then we're going to win the next 2 games. I didn't specify how we were going to get the 4 wins and the Raptors were going to get 32. But it's just what happens. So, like when people say, like the Lakers and the Raptors, the Lakers and the Rockets, there a lot of people are like, hey, Lakers in 5. And the Rockets took game 1. Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, writing off the Lakers. I'm like, well, technically the Lakers are still on pace to win it in 5. Like we gotta chill. Like these are 7-game series for a reason.
Yeah.
All these teams are in the playoffs for a reason. Now, granted, we're out the first round, so some of those teams that shouldn't have been there, obviously, they're gone. But this is the second round. Like, one, we're playing the defending champs, even though they don't have Kawhi. But they're still a great team.
Sure.
So it is what it is, and I'm not trying to overreact. I'm not gonna overreact unless the Raptors are up 3 games to us, and it's the 4th quarter, and we're down by 15 points, and it's just looking like we're not gonna win. That's when I worry. But until then,
that's cause for concern at that point. Yes,
I'm all right.
I'm not even. It was crazy. I don't remember. This is like the most disinterested in sports I think like I've like not ever been in because, obviously in my younger years, I wasn't as interested in professional sports, but like And obviously, yes, the state of the world and COVID, and that has a lot to do with this because there was no basketball for months, and we're not
Many sports for months.
what right, and we're not getting the traditional start to the NFL year is just different. So it's like I'm not even, and of course, again, like me and you talked about earlier, my team is taking a year off. So I'm not, football is kind of, as a Jaguars fan, look, we are making no
Hashtag tank for
qualms
Trevor.
about the tank for Trevor all day. I'm here for it. I'll get t-shirts. They might as well just be printing Jaguar t-shirts that say tank for Trevor at this point, because that's what we're doing. We're cutting bait literally. Fournette cut. They trading guys left and right, trading starters just cause. They're not trying to hide it. You know what? To hell with it. This is what we're one of the few teams in the league, and I think it's less than a handful that have a legitimate starting like franchise quarterback. And nothing against Minshew, because I like him. I like his personality. I just like his moxie. He's just a great, he seems like a great dude and just a great guy to have on your team, especially like in your locker room. He
Mm-hmm.
just seems like a positive influence. I don't, I think he has the talent to be a decent to average-ish
Good, decent,
quarterback.
average.
Good, decent, average. See, I kept scaling it back as I continued. I,
So do you kind of see his
I think
career going like
he's serviceable. He's serviceable.
do you kind of see his career going like Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Yeah. Yeah. I think he could be around, and he can win you games. He's got the stuff that can win you games, but you just don't want him to be your guy 16 games every year. You just don't. Like, if you need somebody to come in for a 4-game stretch, your starter's hurt, and you need somebody that's going to hold the fort down and possibly win you 3 out of 4, 2 out of 4, he can definitely be that kind of guy. I just don't think he's your franchise starting quarterback. I just don't. Which kind of hurts me to say, because again, I like him, and he's got a very unique personality that's really dope. But
So what happens if he goes out here and he balls? And I'm not gonna say the Jags are gonna win like 11, 12 games, but what if he
if we
goes out
win
here and they
5 games,
win
that's too
6,
much.
7 games?
That's too much. That's too many dubs. That's a problem. We need him. That would be
Y'all start the season 3-0.
That is literally the worst case scenario for him to go out and be spectacular, and we win like 6 games. Like, no, because there is no talent left on the team. He's got talent, DJ Chark. Like, there's nobody left that we done cut. Running backs, traded safeties. We traded.
Well, you still got Miles Jack.
The whole defense is gone. He's the only one left. The whole defense is in shambles. Ngakoue is gone. We got Benden, got rid of Campbell. Everybody knows Ramsey was traded. Boye gone. Like, the whole team, defense shambles.
Bro, it does not feel like y'all were just in the AFC Championship game like 3 years ago.
2 years ago. I think it was 2017.
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah, because that was the year we won the Super Bowl.
Correct. That was the year we should have been facing y'all in the Super Bowl. Like, the downfall started in the second half of that game. That was where the pieces started to fall apart for Jacksonville. Literally, because that's when the descent started. Because that was when Ramsey got pissed off. Because he was like,
"Yo, a bunch of zone.
What is all this zone? We got arguably the best lockdown cornerback duo in the league with him and Boye, and you go to zone with Gronk out and no Edelman. I'm sorry. Who was calling plays that game and decided that was a good idea, and that Ramsey and Boye couldn't lock down Chris Hogan and Danny Amendola? I don't understand. I just don't. That was kind of like that's not a good look. And then,
well, I mean, they also had. I think that was the season. They also had Brandon Cooks.
You sure?
Yeah. Because remember, Malcolm Jenkins knocked him out in the Super Bowl.
Right. Even still, it's not. There's still no excuse for for that debacle of a second half, and that was what the descent started. And then Ramsey was never the same after that, and then it was short, and then he got traded, and then that was it. The ship fell apart. That was it. But yeah, I just haven't been sports right now. I'm just like so disinterested. Like I don't like if you tell me right now, like we're in the NBA playoffs, and I'm just like I don't know who's in. I don't know who's playing who. I know the Lakers are playing the Trailblazers right now. I don't know who's playing who. I don't know what the series count is at. You told me the Raptors and Celtics were at 2-2. I didn't even know. I'm like, I don't know none of that. I don't know like anything. Because to me, especially the NBA doesn't matter. It's gonna have a huge asterisk next to whoever wins. Like it's gonna be like the biggest, like, oh yeah, we won the 2020 championship. Man, did you? Did you like are you claiming that? Like you have to hang a banner for they have to put an asterisk on the banner when they hang it in the rafters. Like that's how much like
Man, but I
you
don't
guys aren't playing.
sports. It kind of comes and
Football is
goes.
starting like at the time of this recording, football was starting like next week. And I'm like, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. Oh
See,
yeah, this game's
I'm
on
actually
Thursday.
kind of excited because I'm excited. I mean, it's the Eagles. I'm always excited for what we got going on. I think in the past 20 years of me being a fan, I don't think there's ever been. There might have been maybe 2 or 3 seasons where I went into the season like, man, I don't think this is going to be it for us. But most of the
8-1
time, like
Chiefs.
I always feel like, hey, we've got a shot to do something. I'm not one of those fans that's like, hey, I'm not a Cowboys fan where it's like, hey, we're winning the Super Bowl this year. Like I ain't
That's
thinking
every
that all
year for
the time.
Cowboys fans.
But I always think that we can definitely like if a couple things fall in our place, if a couple guys step up, hey, we could definitely be in the playoffs. And things once you get into the playoffs, anything could happen.
Yeah.
So I'm excited because our team got younger, our team got a whole lot faster. We still have the absolute worst training staff in the NFL. Like I don't understand how every time I'm opening up uh some article or looking up some Twitter thread or just following the training camp practices, we always have a player getting hurt, going down, going to IR, it's having some type of soft tissue, injury. I'm like,
Got stable
y'all,
soft tissue injury.
like, what what is it with all these soft tissue injuries? Like, I could get it if you're going out here and you're like, oh, we lost so and so because
uh,
he, broke a collarbone, or we lost so and so because he tore his ACL, or
if
we
this
lost
was
so and so because he broke his leg, whatever.
if this was Madden, you had to fire the training
Right.
staff.
Right.
You'd be on the
I'm like,
free
y'all,
agent training staff market.
can we not keep people's hamstrings good? Can
No,
people's calves not be all right?
no
Like,
shout out to Madden. It's trash.
like, like my thing is, I'm like, and then Carson was out for like a day or two because he had a lower body soft tissue injury. I'm like, y'all, what are these soft tissue injuries?
You can't even define that. It's like he's got soft tissue injury.
Like
Don't
it's
worry
almost
about it.
speaking of Madden, it's like in Madden, I think it was Madden 18 or maybe Madden 19. It was like every time your player got hurt, it was always an abdominal tear.
Oh my
Like no matter
god.
what, it was always an abdominal tear. But the ranges were always different. Like some might be out for two weeks, some might be out for 4, some might be out for 10.
Fucking
But it
EA
was
is
always
so
the same
lazy.
injury. I was like, man. But
But nothing's wrong with the game. It's fine.
outside the injuries, I'm still excited. Even though Rager, he's got his shoulder injury. So I think he's gonna miss the first game at least. But we
Yeah.
still got D-Jack back.
Forgot about that.
We still got Ertz and Goddard. The couple of young guys, they just put Watkins on IR today. But we got Hightower. He's another tall, speedy guy. I'm excited for Miles Sanders. So, and our defense, I'm a little suspect on how our secondary is going to play with a lot of changes that we've made.
Just a little.
But outside of that, I think our defense will still be fine because our D line is arguably top 5 in the NFL.
Sure.
Definitely on namesake alone, but because of their production, I know they're gonna get after the quarterback. This year they do a great job with that as long as they can all stay healthy, which has been the problem.
Right.
NBA, Celtics, no matter, here's my thing about the Celtics. Because if we beat the Raptors, which I feel like we still can, we still will. Even though the Bucks just won today, so they're only down 3-1 in their series.
They're
Giannis
down 3-1.
yeah, they're down
Who are they
3-1.
playing? See,
The
I don't
Heat.
know. Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Jimmy
Jimmy Butler's
Buckets
been
is out
going
there putting
off
in
in a
work.
couple
That
games.
I do. I saw
And
notifications for
Giannis has
that.
been coming up small,
Hmm.
which is
Hmm.
ironic for a 7-foot guy.
Hmm.
But he left today's game because he re-aggravated his ankle injury from Game 3,
Hmm.
and then the Bucks just rallied. And really, I think they lost. And Aaron put in our group, hey, when a superstar goes down, the opposite team, takes their foot off the gas because they're like,
Yeah.
their best player is gone. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened with the Heat. Because the game went to overtime and Middleton, actually looked like a superstar in that game.
Not though.
But I still think the Heat are gonna win that series, especially if Giannis can't play.
Right.
So if we win, we got the Heat. I think that'd be a good series, but I still think we can beat the Heat. So I think we have a chance to make it to the finals.
And then lose.
And that's the thing. In the West, you've got either, no matter what happens, I'm pretty sure that it's going to be Lakers or Clippers.
Right.
That comes out of the final, or that comes out of the West.
It should be.
If anyone else if anyone beats them, watch out, because either they were playing that well, or something happened with the Lakers or the Clippers to the point where they faltered, like someone got suspended or someone got hurt, something like that. But I'm not gonna this season. I'm gonna quote it as a win for the Celtics automatically. Especially now, if we definitely win this round against the Raptors, it's an automatic win no matter what happens in the Eastern Conference Finals. And the reason I'm saying this is because the past 2 years when we had Kyrie, the first year with Kyrie, he and Gordon Hayward were hurt. We still make it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, go 7 games, against LeBron and the Cavs, and we lose Game 7. Mainly it's because of experience. I've been saying it for the longest. We could have won Game 7, but every single person outside of Jason Tatum, every single person outside of Jason Tatum wanted to do nothing but shoot threes. Like Marcus Smart was throwing up threes, Terry Rozier was throwing up threes, and I'm just like, I think Jaylen Brown was also throwing up a bunch of threes, and I'm like, guys, y'all aren't good 3-point shooters right now. Now Jaylen Brown's a much better 3-point shooter. Marcus Smart hit like 5 3-pointers in the first game against the Raptors. So they progressed. But at that point, no, y'all were not 3-point shooters. Don't do that. And that's how we got into that hole. And then the year after that, Kyrie's back, Gordon Hayward's back, and we lose, in the second round to the Bucks. So with Kemba being here now, we swept the 76ers in the first round, even though they were without Ben Simmons, but we still swept them. A sweep is a sweep.
Right.
And then we won the first 2 games against the Raptors. Everyone's looking good, things like that. Hayward still isn't out there. I know Kimba's not 100% back from his injury. So, we'll see how all that goes. But I still think the way the team has played, especially in the bubble, the way Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have progressed, we're at that point where we're turning that corner, where we're going to be a team, not just that you just pick to get into the playoffs, but we're a team that you're like, hey, they can win it all. Not just potentially make it, but no, they can win it all. So with Jason Tatum being that star, and then, Kemba and Jaylen Brown being the 2 and 3 options, and then if we keep Hayward, I like Hayward. I think it would be a good idea because he makes good basketball decisions. He's a good player. He can do he's literally a Swiss Army knife. He can do everything.
Yeah, if he's on the court.
Yeah, his only problem is, it's just he's just been hurt. And it's all ankle injuries. Now, granted, he had that horrible ankle injury 2 years ago.
Man played like 20 games in 3 years.
Like, it's just, it's crazy. That's always the same injury. But once he's out there, like he plays well.
Man,
so
ankles
I think
like tissue paper.
Like, I think, and we got a great coach in Brad Stevens. I think we're gonna be good. So whether we win the finals or not this year, within our window is next season and the next 4 seasons after that, at least. And now obviously that's depending on what happens with the roster and things like that. But we have our 4-year window starting next season where we've got to win a championship. Like, we've got to. And if we can do that, that throws all of them into, you know, higher prestigious categories. Everyone can stop being in the group comparing Jason Tatum to Kyle Kuzma and saying that Kuzma's better than Tatum, because I don't know who thought of that blasphemy. People will start giving Jaylen Brown his respect. So, but outside of that, I'm not paying attention to any other sports. I follow the Yankee scores, but I'm not necessarily paying attention to the Yankee games, because baseball has 100% screwed up the whole coming back from COVID. I don't have a favorite hockey team, hockey player, nothing like that.
Me neither.
The only time I'm ever into soccer is when the World Cup is happening, and that's really more the women's World Cup than the men's. And then we had no Olympics this summer.
Yeah.
So no Summer Olympics.
Tokyo 2020 will be in 2021.
Which I still find it funny that they're keeping the 2020 name, but
they got to. Because they need, you know, because they'll just continue along like normal when 2024 rolls around.
Yeah, that's true.
So you know, you got to keep up with the same narrative and same you know, year count. I feel like I had something here. I think I still do. I think we should mention that, I don't know, by the time this video hits the streets, and the streets meaning the internet, because, you know, it's the wild, wild west out there.
That's true.
I feel like at some point we should mention, at the very least, that we've got some another tournament coming up. I feel like we should at least mention it, because who knows, it might actually be live by the time this video is actually dropped. In which case, go vote in the polls. I'm speaking in the guise of the tournament actually being live by the time this video is released. So if that's the case, go vote in the polls on the video.
If you're realizing what Rhea is saying, basically, I need to have the tournament posted by the time we have this video go live.
I wasn't saying all that. I was just saying if that happens, then cool. If it doesn't happen, then look forward to the upcoming video game, you know, greatest video game console of all time tournament. You know, we've already chosen the participants. We've settled on 16.
Some have an easier road than others.
Well, yes. Yes, they do. You know,
I'm gonna hold my comments until we go round by round with that.
Correct. You know, we've got the likes of the PlayStation series and the Xbox series and a lot of Nintendo. Some Sega and Atari made the cut. You know, but
just
home consoles, no handhelds. We didn't want to get, and the Switch for this conversation is classified as a home console because the Switch Lite is technically a hard classification of a mobile console because you can't dock it or play it on the TV or anything like that.
Look at Nintendo once again trying to stick their foot in all the
we're everywhere,
the entire
baby.
Pool.
We're everywhere. Nintendo for life.
But yeah, I'll have that thrown up on the tournament itself. Will take place on Twitter. So go to our Twitter page at Sports Games Anon, and then it'll be in the pinned tweet. So as soon as you go to our profile page, it'll be the first tweet there. Go on ahead, put your vote. Make sure it'll be in a thread. So please make sure that you hit show thread so you can go through each individual matchup. Vote in each round, each matchup. Each round will be a week. So that way it gives us time to get maximum people to see it, comment, vote, all that kind of stuff. And then also when we, record the next episode, we can all talk about it, give our insights, give our thoughts, all that kind of stuff.
And this time around, I've bolstered my access to a true community of people that are going to come out and show their support for this Nintendo life, because we're about this retro community. We're about this Nintendo gang. So we'll be out here. So don't think we're not coming for these spots that you don't think we deserve, because apparently the Switch is seated higher than it's supposed to be. But I'm not going to say who said that.
100%.
I'm not going to say who said that.
I said it. I'll say it. I said it. 100%. Dre said it. Me.
That's blasphemy, sir.
He is
blasphemy.
The Switch is seated way too high,
but that's fine. It's a 3 seed. There's 2 3 seeds. It's 16. We got 8 on each side, traditional type of thing. So each side.
You have it seated higher than the Xbox One.
Yes, that's accurate because the Switch is a far more successful.
I only give you that argument if you use it as the fact that. And see, we're already getting
those are my 2 owned consoles.
I'm only gonna give you the Switch can be seated higher than the One if you look at the whole package of the Switch, which is the fact that it can be a home console and you can take it on the go. But because we're only looking at the home console portion of it, that's why I think it's rated or it's seated too high.
Let's again, and I'm going to use the counter argument of my usual argument that I have for Xbox, which is including Game Pass and everything. So in the guise of this discussion, if we slightly separate Game Pass from this discussion, is there anything and yes, I'm going to fanboy out. There's nothing Microsoft has on the Xbox One that's better than Breath of the Wild or Super Mario Odyssey or Mario Kart 8 for that matter. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Not Halo 5.
The whole Halo series.
Okay, yes, but that's not
on the Xbox One. You got the Master Chief Collection.
The Master Chief but those are old games. Okay, those are old games, and I can't believe I'm arguing against Xbox. This is such a weird
arguing against Halo.
This is a weird side of the table for me to be sitting on. But those aren't new games. Like Halo 2 is is it excellent? Yes, of course, but it's an old game. It's not a new game. It's not an IP specific.
Didn't you go back and play the original Halo?
Yes, I did. It's excellent. And I'm still it's excellent. But it's not a new Xbox One IP. I'll take out Mario Kart 8 because Mario Kart 8 made its birth on the Wii U, not on the Switch. The deluxe version has seen gargantuan numbers on the Switch, but as far as Mario Odyssey, that's an exclusive IP to the Switch. Smash Brothers Ultimate, Breath of the Wild, like those are IPs that are specific to the Switch. They're not like older, reiterations.
Mm-hmm.
The Switch is, and that stuff is you can play. You can play it at home, or like what? I'll just take my Switch out. I'm gonna leave the house.
Okay. So let me ask you this question.
I'm just gonna continue
trust me, we're gonna have so much more dialogue about this once the tournament launches, and we're going round by round with this. But I'm gonna ask you this one question.
I don't want to see no Switch hate out there.
So, does xCloud count as a? Well, how do I want to? Does it count with the consoles? Because everything that's on my Xbox, I can technically play on xCloud, and that makes it mobile.
Yeah, that's true.
And like my entire catalog is there, and that's something Nintendo doesn't have.
That's a huge. Well, in fairness, they do have that because you just take the whole console comes with you. And you just take it anywhere. Everything you own is always with you.
Well, I don't have a Switch, so do you have to put like a disc or something in the Switch?
The Switch has, and when they went back to cartridges, but
so you got to take something with you to play, switch out games and all that kind of stuff,
bro.
When on xCloud, you just have it all digital.
The cartridges are this big, and you don't have to. You can buy them digitally from the eShop. You don't have to. Just like you don't have to. And yes. If your argument is Game Pass, then I concede that because no company has anything that's better than Game Pass. So, you have those games that you don't have to upfront $60 for. You just have it naturally through Game Pass, like Halo Infinite, which I also think has been Halo Infinite's problem, part of being pushed back, because they're not going to come out and say this. irregardless of their transparency and how much Phil Spencer has been upfront with everybody, they're not going to give you 100% of everything that's going on behind the scenes. That's just not smart business.
Right.
So I firmly believe that part of their development issues with Halo Infinite was getting it to work across the board properly everywhere. Because this is a game, and I had some time to think about this. This is a game that you're touting as this is your next gen offering. Not only that, but it's simultaneously your powerhouse next gen offering. And at the same time, it's your premier title for selling Game Pass to new consumers upcoming.
Mm-hmm.
So you're selling the new iteration for next generation, but you're also selling it to say, hey, you can play it on your old console, or you can play it on the go, you can play it on your phone, and making that game work on a phone, on a computer, on maybe a slightly scaled down PC. I'm not talking about a powerhouse PC that's stronger than all consoles available ever.
Just like a normal consumer PC.
Correct. Tablets, all that stuff. And at the same time, tell people this is the same game that you're going to be able to get next generation, 60 frames, 60 frames per second, all that stuff, 4K, all that. I think they had a difficult time making that work from a development point. They were like, yo, we're not going to be able to do this. And some of the stuff I've been hearing is bringing on one of the producers or game writers, whatever, that worked on the original series that made it very successful. They've brought on as a consultant, if you will, right? Or to help the dev team get the game out, which doesn't 100% bode well for the time window. Because if they had just been like, okay, we needed some extra time due to thing, if we knew that it wasn't 100% due to COVID,
right?
But yes, did it play a factor? Of course, but we knew that wasn't the whole factor because they told us as much.
It was just
Spencer
an easy
came out and
scapegoat.
said that, right? But and I forget the guy's name, and I didn't look it up before because this stuff just kind of popped back into my head. But when you bring somebody like that on, you're admitting like, okay, this is not just about COVID. This is about, it's about more than that. We're having development issues.
You think that's Cyberpunk's issue also? Because that's a huge world that game's supposed to be taking place in. Also,
when you tell people we're going to give it to you next gen, 60 frames, 4K, but you can also play it 30 frames, 1080p, or on your phone or wherever. Yeah, I feel like that's a difficult task to ask a developer, hey, we need your game to run. Now, granted, is that something that, developers for PC games have been doing for years? Yeah, because you have to develop a game that can be run at ultra max settings and at base
average
minimum settings, just well enough to run. Stuff in the background might not render, but they'll be able to play it.
Right.
PC developers have been doing this for years. Microsoft just needs to figure out how to make this work for them in their infrastructure, making it work on phones, making it work on tablets, lower end PCs, new Series X, hardware, 60 frames, 4K. They have to be able to make this work all over the place. And I think they're running into issues doing that, especially, and here comes the COVID caveat, especially during that, because a lot of these games, they were still in development when this thing hit. We're talking March, right? So a lot of these games were still in the developmental stages, especially Halo Infinite. It wasn't done in March. There was no way that game was done to 100% completion. So I think that there's a good chance Halo doesn't hit spring. A lot of people are like for these reasons,
You don't think it's out by March?
I'm hoping it is, and I'm hoping that there isn't as much developmentally, wrong, if you will, that needed so much work that it couldn't get to March. But a lot of people are saying like at this point it could just be holiday next year, which I think is dangerous for Microsoft.
So here's what I would actually be okay with. I would actually, and granted, it's because I have an iPhone, so xCloud won't be launched, on my platform anyway.
Right.
But I do have other Windows devices.
You do.
That I could potentially play it on, but that's beside the point. I'd be perfectly fine with if they just launched Halo Infinite for the console and just said that its ability to be played on xCloud or its ability to be played on other devices will be coming soon. And I kind of say that in the sense how like, and I hate to kind of bring Apple into this because it isn't the same, but for the sake of my argument, when you go to the App Store for Apple, and you see an app, you always have to scroll to see, well, what device can I use this app on? So I'll take Instagram, for example. You can download Instagram on the phone, the iPad, pretty much every device outside of the Mac or outside the iMac and the MacBook. You got to go and get another app like Grids or something if you want to do Instagram on that, because it's just a completely different set of different software, because Instagram itself wasn't made thinking that people are going to be using it on their computers. So the original app, it's a phone based app with the vertical settings, vertical setup, and all that kind of stuff. So they had to change it. So while Instagram is still running on the devices it was made for, they had to, either them or just another developer, whoever, but I think Instagram did it. They had to make a brand new interface that could be ran on the MacBooks and the iMac and stuff like that. Is it as good? No, it is not. I absolutely cannot stand Grids whatsoever. So if you are watching this episode, please do not download Grids. It is terrible, and I hope you don't pay for the unlock feature of it. It's a waste of your money because it never remembers, and you always have to try and re-unlock it. Like, do not download Grids. But Instagram itself, amazing. Grids, don't do it. But in that sense, that's what Microsoft could do, or that's what Halo Infinite could do. Just, hey, when we first started this, Halo was only for consoles, well, and technically PC.
Right.
So that's who we're going to launch it for. Y'all going to get it at its maximum capabilities, its maximum, settings. xCloud for tablets, phones, you're coming. We gotta work on a few things, fix a few things, but it's on the way. Now, in the terms of Game Pass and xCloud, I don't know how that could work or how that would go. But I think that's something they would definitely have to consider, because this next system is crazy powerful. Like, it's granted, yes, PCs will be stronger than both the PS5 and the Series X. PCs will always be stronger than whatever consoles are out there.
Always. Don't get it twisted. Don't believe
these consoles are pretty much now PCs.
Yes, correct.
In the sense of their power.
Yes.
So these games are going to be crazy in what they can do. And, these phones, these tablets aren't going to be able to keep up with those type of settings. So I really think there are going to have to be multiple versions of a game that developers are going to have to make. Now, granted, I'm an engineer, but I'm not a software engineer, not a computer engineer, anything like that. So I don't know what all goes behind the scenes with all that they've got to do. I don't know how much work that would be. I know it's a lot of work, but it's just something that they're going to have to think about, because there might be some games they might just have to say, hey, our game is for console only. Like, we don't have the manpower or the finances to, do multiple versions or multiple levels of this game. So our game is console only. Some games might be, not necessarily powerful, so they can be ran across all systems. And then you've got some games where they're a part of major companies where they're like, hey, we can do multiple levels of this game, but we want to launch the console version first, and then we'll launch the non-console versions. Or if they've been working on it in time enough, they can say, hey, we're launching all versions at one time. I think that's the way it's going to have to go. It's going to have to be, so you don't, because your core people are your console people. And then outside of your console people, because your console people are going to be the same ones that are going to be using xCloud. So as long as I can get it on my console, I'll wait, however long I got to wait, a couple weeks, a few months, whatever, before I can play it on the go. Because I'm going to have other games I can play on the go. And to me, that's just my wish list. I would hope that's what they do, because then they don't have to push everything back, so that way they can launch everything at once. And oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. But that's what I would hope they would do. I just want to play Halo. That's it.
Yeah, me too. I want to play Halo, and you're right. Shout out to the Switch Lite.
I hope that drops out your hand.
I mean, it's so good. It fits so well in your hand, and this is the portable version, the Switch Lite. This is, as you can see, I don't have big hands. I have kind of fairly slightly more average, slightly bigger than average for my height and build, if you will. But I don't have big hands by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not a big dude, but yeah, this is as you can see, it's very, slightly bigger than really big phones now. It goes there. I've had pockets that this can fit in. It's fabulous. This is to scale. But anyway, I hope that Microsoft gets those things together, because yes, we just want to play Halo, and will the two games thing, different for different kind of mediums work out? Will that even be an idea? Who knows? I think it could work. I don't know if they have development. I don't know if it's wise to be like, okay, this is for like the mobile version, quote unquote, or the version if you're going to play it through xCloud, and it's stripped down, it's missing things. I don't know how that would be received. So we'll see. I mean, if they're going to have to figure something out, if they got to figure out how to make these work, what they're trying to do, make it work more seamlessly, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
But or they could just holler at Nintendo, if they want some tips on how to make things work mobilely, all across the board. Just holler at the king. They've been doing this for the game. They're the OGs in this game. So just holler at Nintendo, Microsoft. Just let me get a Nintendo Microsoft partnership, and let's just go ahead and crush Sony. How about this?
That is your ultimate.
It is. That's on my biggest gaming wish list ever. Let's just have Sony and Microsoft. I mean, Nintendo and Microsoft just team up. Share IPs, share ideas, share software. Let me get Game Pass on the Switch. Let me get Mario on Game Pass. Let's just stomp out Sony.
But the funny thing is, when I had a PSP, and I enjoyed it when I had it.
Yeah, it was fun for the times.
I always said, I was like, man, it'd be great if Microsoft did a handheld. I think they would have done a very good job at one.
Yeah, but they circumvented that. But Microsoft is a software company, so they heard all that, and I'm sure they've been working on for years, and they're like, okay, we will give you the software version of the handheld you've been asking for. And that's
Like,
what
I'm
this
pretty
about is.
sure if any of us were to ever get a job with Microsoft, and if we were to ever, get access to all the, secret files that they got, I'm pretty sure we would find a prototype.
Oh yeah, I'm sure, 100%. And then one day we're just like, "Yo, we're a software company," and then Microsoft was like, "You know what? You want a handheld console? No problem. You got a phone, right? There you go. We got you." Just
I'm thinking it's probably under the code name, Xbox P, which is a terrible name.
terrible,
But
absolutely
prototype
terrible,
names are usually terrible names. They're
100%.
either terrible or dope. There's no in between.
No, at all. Like
Like
Project Scorpio,
right.
dope. Dope. But
I'm looking at my Xbox right now with Project Scorpio written
yeah,
on it.
I got the Scorpio edition too. Like dope. That's great. And I just they could have, but at this point they don't need to.
That's true.
They had that. There were those rumblings where where Game Pass was rumored where there might be available, like Nintendo was going to get access to Game Pass, and that was like kind of rumors for a little bit, and those kind of died out and fizzled out. Once I think they figured out how well they could get xCloud working, I think that was like, okay, we're not going to do that. We don't need to do that. But I say all this, I say everything, and this Nintendo and Microsoft team up, let's crush Sony, whatever the case may be. I say all that in jest, quite honest, 100% honesty, because I don't want that. Because as we've seen, lack of competition gets you nowhere. I'm looking at you, Madden and 2K basketball. Okay, no competition. There's only one company and one game, and that has seemed, and again, I can't speak because I've only played a few iterations over the years, but from what I'm to understand, there's only one game that has sidestepped that, and that's MLB The Show. I don't know how they've managed to do that with zero competition, and they always put out a quality product, but both 2K and EA need to take a look at what MLB The Show did.
But isn't 2K the creator of MLB The Show?
I don't even know. I don't think so. I mean, I don't,
because
because
we need data for
2K had a baseball game.
That is true.
They did have a baseball game, and that did not go well.
MLB The Show.
I think I don't know the developer. I know Sony had published it for a while, obviously.
Sony's still the publisher.
Right.
The developer is
but that's getting ready to end.
Sony Interactive Entertainment.
Oh, that's going to be over because starting, I think, next year or whatever.
Yeah, it's going to be available on all platforms.
Yeah, which is going to be great because no other console has been able to get access to baseball games. Nobody's even tried. It's not even like the show has an exclusive license that I'm aware of to the MLBPA. I don't think they do. Just other companies were like, yo, they got it. So I've never seen that in my life where everybody else just conceded the title to another company. It was like, you know what? They got it. We don't even need to try anymore. 2K tried. Their game was trash. EA used to have a great baseball game, and then it just stopped.
Oh, wow. So 2K stopped producing MLB 2K in 2014.
Yeah. And then the last EA game, I think, was the college one, which was MVP. They went like the college route. So I'm like, their game was good at one point. The early triple play days were good. Then it got corny and arcadey, and then they switched it to MVP baseball, and MVP baseball was really good. And then I don't know what happened after that. I think there was some licensing issues, which is why they had to go to college. But again, MLB The Show has just had the title, and they've upheld it. They've made quality games, which is why I look at EA. I'm like, Madden is trash. 2K basketball is stale. I'm like, yo, what do you, y'all just, if nobody else is making games, y'all just don't give a shit, do you? Like, you just don't care. I'm like, man, whatever. I mean, even FIFA has been taking a dive lately, apparently. No pun intended.
Yeah, Jordan was talking about that.
I'm like, not FIFA. Like, come on, y'all were the king of upholding it, and they had competition out. PES was good for a long time. I don't know how it is now, but you know, same thing with hockey. They letting hockey fall by the wayside too.
I never played a hockey game.
Another game with no competition. I played a lot of them. A lot of them were really good. Hockey games are excellent, even when you don't know any of the players. Those NHL games were really good over the years. Again, recently I don't know what they've been doing. I haven't played them, but apparently there's a new 2K golf, which I heard is decent, pretty good.
Yeah, I need to check it out. I heard a couple of reviews about it, but it's one of those games. Golf is one of those games where I'm like, I need to check it out for myself to actually see.
Yeah. 100%. Because we all know the king of golf games was Tiger Woods forever. And then it was crazy because once they took Tiger off the game, it got trashed. Because the Rory McIlroy game was, it was all right. But it wasn't good enough for them to roll out another one because that was a few years ago.
Very true.
There hasn't been another one since then. And 2K was like, all right, well, we'll make a game. Like, I'll check it out because I like golf games. Golf games have always been dope. Again, those Tiger Woods games were like dope. But I remember playing golf games before those Tiger Woods. I used to play a bunch of golf games on the PC.
Yep.
Like the PGA Masters joints.
That was my because my dad had them, so that was my introduction to the golf games was on the PC.
For sure. Like the throwback back in the day, Greg Norman type shit, the shark. Like, but I'm like, and then Tiger Woods came in and changed the game. Those games was so much fun. Oh my God, those games were so fun. I just need anything close to that. And I'm curious to at least try to see what 2K did with it. I haven't looked up a lot of reviews. Again, I've just been going off of what people have said verbally and that I've heard in passing.
So that might be something that hits the next review.
It might be. That might be on, the next upcoming episodes on reviews, which has gone live. So go ahead and check that video out. I reviewed Madden 21. It's
I'll have it up here somewhere.
Yeah, what he said. Again, spoiler alert, it's trash. But watch the review. Listen, it's not long. It's like 20 minutes. Check it out. Madden is not making progress overall. There's some things that are decent, and there's a lot of crap that's terrible. So by now, you've probably made your assessment. You've either bought it and 100% regretted it, or you haven't because you've heard the rumblings. And by rumblings, I mean the screaming from the rooftops, okay? That this is the worst Madden probably ever. And if you heard that, you probably heard accurately, okay? It's terrible. Especially, and again, you can't, Madden is one of those sports games are very unique in a way where you can't necessarily review them on their own merit as a singular game because they're a yearly release title. Like Grand Theft Auto games, you hold in a very singular regard because the games release like 6 years, 7, 8 years apart, right?
People still playing Grand Theft Auto 5.
That was like 7 years ago. Like that joint came out officially, on PS3 and Xbox 360. Like, so it's not like that. When you have yearly release games, like sports games, you have to use the previous game and subsequent previous iterations as a jumping off point. You can't just say, okay, how's Man 21 by itself? Yeah, sure. If Man 21 by itself, and a quick insert from my review, if your last Madden you played was 10 years ago, yeah, you might think Madden 21 is great. But if you've been following along the last few years, this hasn't gone anywhere.
There hasn't been much change.
How much is happening in this game? And this should come as no surprise to anybody because people were saying years ago, like, oh, man, just gives you a roster update. And yeah, most of the time we say that in jest. You know, they try, but this is blatantly egregious. They're not doing nothing with this game between 20 and 21. They're not even trying to hide it.
So, all right. So here's the interesting thing. Since we've been recording, we are the Sports Gaming Anonymous channel. We started off with talking about sports, and then we actually moved to talking about gaming. So we cannot close out this podcast without talking about something just out there. But literally, I have nothing off the top of my head because we're still stuck in the house, still quarantined. Granted, now this is Labor Day weekend.
It is.
I know for a fact that people are going out to the beaches, the lakes.
They shouldn't, but they will.
All kinds of stuff.
They're gonna be out there. I don't know why.
I don't want to turn this into a COVID discussion, but I'm just gonna say, hey, y'all, just social distance, wear your mask,
or stay home.
That too.
You could just do that
and watch. Absolutely, just stay home.
Netflix. Also. You can watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
You ain't got to really do that.
Why? Whoa! Hold on. Let's back up the truck and boop, boop, boop. I know we're not about to get JoJo's slander up in here.
Nah, there's no slander. I've never actually seen the show.
That's just as much as a crime as slander.
But maybe they want to watch something else. Maybe they want to watch Lucifer. Or maybe they want to watch,
Oh, what they could watch. And I 100%, there will be the very first. I've dabbled with what reviews. Get it? Reviews? Okay. I've dabbled with what reviews is going to be on a whole scale. And I've toyed around with, is it going to include, get around the TV shows. I know we're going to do games. I'm going to do some electronics, little things that I buy off Amazon, stuff like that. I was going to get into movies. I was like, should I get up into TV shows? Yes, because the very first TV show review on reviews is going to be Cobra Kai. Okay, I'll tell you that right now because I put off watching it because I had access to it before it came on to Netflix, and I never watched it. And then it came on to Netflix. Yeah, it was on YouTube, and then I had access to it by other legal means.
Of course.
But Netflix just makes everything so easy. It's just so easy. Just Netflix is just great. So once I saw it on Netflix, this is a no-brainer. I'm watching this, and I plowed through the first 2 seasons. I don't know how many episodes are in the second season, but the first season had 10 episodes. I ran through that. My mid-season spoiler-free thoughts on Cobra Kai. This is fucking fantastic. I will say, if you have, okay, the mid, impressions are if you have no prior experience or ties to the Karate Kid, the original Karate Kid movies, it might not hit the same way. It's still very good. I think it's well good. I think it's well acted. Just, but it hits way differently if you have ties to the Karate Kid. If you have any ties to those first couple Karate Kid movies, I know those 3 of them in the beginning. I don't know.
Well, my brain. So that's going to be my question.
My brain doesn't remember how good the third one was.
Does the tie have to be to all? I mean, I've seen all of them, but does the tie have to be to all 3 movies?
Not
or
necessarily.
Does the tie have
it's
to
really
just
the first
movie?
It's really just the first one. If you've seen the first one, that's enough of a prerequisite to get you understanding what's going on in Cobra Kai. If you have those ties to Karate Kid, this show like every other episode is going to give you goosebumps. Like if you have those ties. If you don't, you'll just think like, okay, you might not understand it. Like it might not hit the same way. Again, it's well acted. I think the stories are good, but this is for the retro people that watch the Karate Kid movies. Like, and again, there are a lot of people, even on the slightly younger generation that have watched the Karate Kid movies, the originals.
And shout out to their parents or whoever for making them watch it. That was a very great decision.
Correct. But that is absolutely, because I'm going to finish that up probably within the week. And that's definitely going to be the first TV show that comes under the review on the reviews podcast, if you will. Can't wait to do that. It's excellent. Look out for that. Can't wait. It's great. That's all you need to know. All you need to know is great. That's my mid impressions. That it's great.
But shout outs, and I think we've talked about it before on the podcast. But shout out to Netflix, because every time people think that Netflix is going to go down,
not happening.
It rises, and I that's like so cliche, and that's a terrible comparison, but that's pretty much what it does. Like when Blockbuster was a huge thing, and Netflix came out, they're like, "Hey, we deliver." Like everyone was like, oh, "Okay, this is just gonna be a fad," but can't nobody outdo Blockbuster. And the next thing you know, I think.
And what's crazy,
like now you can't even find a Blockbuster. Like they're out of business and everything. I think
Blockbuster even tried to do.
They tried to do the rental delivery.
Yes, they did. Yeah. Yes, they did, and it was too late because Netflix already had.
Yeah, if they had started right away, then they could have put Netflix down.
Yeah.
But they were too late to the game, and that's usually what happens with companies. They see these startups, and they're like, "That's not going to happen. Reactive. That's not a good idea." And then once they see that it's actually picking up steam, they're like
scrambling,
scrambles McGee out here. But yeah, so Netflix basically put Blockbuster out of business.
Sure did. 100%.
Then here comes Hulu. And even though Hulu and Netflix are a little different, but everyone's like, okay, man, Hulu's giving me these shows, the day after, they're broadcasted live on cable and whatnot. And
gave them a little run.
And they've got movies and yada yada. So everyone's like, man, now I don't have to wait until the end of the season to watch. But then and that's where Hulu, kind of trumps Netflix,
of course. But they have those live, the current running shows.
Right. But the thing is, like Hulu's for offering. Hulu, you gotta watch it. And at first they would keep it, but now for certain shows, and a lot of them like ABC titles, man, you gotta watch them within like 6 weeks or something, or it's gonna be gone. Yep. So that's when Netflix comes back in. They're like, hey, if you can't watch it, in the time frame that Hulu's got it, just wait like you normally did. And just come back to us and just watch it, and then you can binge watch it. So now instead of waiting every week, now you can just binge watch the whole season in a weekend, whatever.
And when
you're all caught up, good.
When things were in flummox, because again, it's crazy to think about this, but I was there day one, right? When like hearing about Netflix, I'm like, oh, what is this? It's cool.
Talk about like the actual rental.
Yeah. So, like, I did the whole, you renting DVDs from Netflix through the mail. I was there when they started to, they had a streaming and they had a queue. Sure, you go back on my Flash Extreme YouTube page. I have a video that I did years, like, it's got to be like 10 years ago now, where I had my Netflix queue. I was just scrolling through my Netflix queue. I don't know why that video has over 1,000 views, but don't ask me why. I was just scrolling through my Netflix queue because it was a phenomenon back then. Like, I was just showing off my Netflix queue. Right, so they started to offer streaming, but they were still heavy in the disc game, and then they just like made the transition and became a powerhouse, and just like Netflix. And I saw the growth. I saw the whole career, if you will, of Netflix from the early Stone Age days of, hey, we got these discs and we're going to compete against Blockbuster. I was like, I don't know. For me, I was like, me being the type of consumer that I am, I was all in on Netflix from day one. I was like, yeah, let me get I don't even got to go to a store. Yeah, I just go on the computer. And like, I was one of the first people that adopted I can order pizza from Domino's online. I don't even got to call. Yes, let me do that. Like, I'm one of those people. So I'm like, Netflix spoke to me directly. They knew what they were doing with my generation. Like, this is the generation we need to appeal to because their generation and everything after them wants ease of use, right? They don't want to go to the store. This is why Amazon became as popular as it did. They don't go to the store. Let me do whatever I got to do on the website and I can get it in 2 days or 3 days, whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah, see, I didn't hop on the Netflix train until the streaming service came out because to me, one, I was still doing Blockbuster. You know, I'm loyal.
Blockbuster Video.
But then you also had Redbox.
And Redbox is still a thing.
So yeah, and Redbox is still a thing. So you know, you have
people,
for a lot of people, they're like Redbox, Netflix. You know, Netflix, I gotta wait and I gotta send it back in. Redbox, I just go pick it up when I'm done, take it back, all that kind of stuff. I didn't do Redbox, but you know, that's when I saw those two, I was like, okay, there's so many people trying to get in and cut in on the Blockbuster game, and I'm gonna stay loyal and true to Blockbuster. And then they had that huge, hey, we going out of business. All these DVDs and video games must go. Yeah. And I was so upset because I was like, yo, we got to go to the store and I just wanted some games. And at that point I was young, you know, I had to get my parents' permission. I didn't have a license. My parents had to drive me. That's crazy. That Blockbuster went out of business before I had a license.
That's wild.
Which is over. I'm 26, you know, so that's a decade ago.
And me being an old head, like I used to, you know, go to Blockbuster, my local. I used to ride my bike to Blockbuster, you know, rent games and shit, get a Slurpee, Doritos, like you know
that used to be the thing. Like if you were good, like you had a good week, you know, in school, all that kind of stuff. You're going to Blockbuster. You get to rent.
Oh my god!
For me, my brother, like my brother always got, you know, 1 or 2 movies. I either got 2 games or I would get a movie in the game. But you could get two things. You know, we had it. You know, pick it up on Friday. We go take it back Monday and whatnot, or we would put it in the Dropbox Sunday night. And that'd be our weekend treat and things like that. And you like that'd be it. Me and my friends, we all get together at whoever's house and we all, you know, play the games, watch the movies, all that kind of stuff. It's crazy that we're doing all that stuff, or we did all that stuff back then, and we're technically still doing it now.
Right.
The only difference is we're not going to each other's houses doing it. Like now we're either getting on Twitch, watching each other play the games, or we're all watching the movie and watching the shows and talking about it in group chats or on Twitter and stuff like that. So yeah, we're more connected, but we're just not in the same room, you know, because I still miss being in the same room with somebody, you know, playing Madden.
Oh yeah,
watching the look on their face when I throw a 75-yard touchdown and I'm winning 28-14, and they're just like
100% right. Like, because that was me and Dev. Shout out to Dev, free Dev. You know, like that was me and him. That was always a thing. Like we would always like, hey, you know, like what are you doing? Like Saturday, whatever the case may be. Like, yo, we would plan this stuff like, yo, all right, trying to come through. Like, I would go to his crib or he would come to my crib and we would just get down like a Madden session like that whole day or for like 6 hours or the case maybe. Or it might be like 2K or we might switch off on Madden and 2K. Or the case may be like, that was a thing. And that's not, you know, depending on what neighborhood you live in and friends you might still live close to, that's not a thing anymore, right? I mean, we do it online and it has a resemblance, right, of that same feeling, but it's not 100% the same.
Right.
There will never, and we're fully enveloped in online gaming and that whole community, but there is there will never be a substitute for the game and the gaming and your friends next to you passing the control off like I got next, like winner stays on. Like there's no substitute for being able to do that online.
Correct.
And you know, and me and C talked about that on the episode of Old School Gamers podcast that we did, you know, when we played Streets of Rage 4. Like it had that feeling. You know, we were able to tap into a little bit of that, you know, just kind of chilling, playing out, getting in there, getting on the mic, getting on Twitch, and playing Streets of Rage with each other and just going at it. And that was the closest thing I felt to that experience like in a long time. So, but that's a dead thing. And it's just one of those things that we have to accept. And like I said, and that Blockbuster died out and Netflix became the thing because they changed with the times. And honestly, quite frankly, Netflix is still out here delivering discs. I don't know if anybody knows that. And I know that obviously firsthand being a mail carrier, I could tell you these areas that still get Netflix discs, DVDs, Blu-rays, whatever, like they're still out here. Like they're still offering that service to people. If you didn't think it didn't still exist, it does. They're not just fully streaming.
Netflix isn't forgetting where they came from.
No, at all. So shout out to Netflix. And again, Netflix really separated themselves in that time when Hulu came on the scene. Netflix was still figuring out what they were. Netflix was, it's funny because when the streaming part started, it was just kind of like, oh, these are the same kind of titles you could get if you rented the disc. It's the same kind of content. We just got movies and stuff. We got TV shows, whatever the case may be. It was so different to what it is now. And then Netflix really separated themselves. We've mentioned this before, and I mention it now, with original content. Not that Hulu doesn't have original content, but their original content like pales in comparison to what Netflix gives you.
Correct.
So same
and
thing
I said,
with
and I brought this up to even connect it to Disney Plus because everyone thought Disney Plus was going to put Netflix out the game because, with Disney Plus coming out, Peacock coming out, Netflix is going to lose a lot of content because it's going to go to their, to the streaming services of the companies that produced it, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but because of Netflix original content, that's where they can still go on. Now, with Netflix original content, their TV shows are good. I'm not going to say that they're 100%. There are some flops. There are some, but that's the way it's going to be. You're never going to hit with everything that you do. Mm-hmm. But on the most part, Netflix TV shows and their movies, they do good. It's mainly the stand-up specials that are hit or miss with Netflix.
Some of
those
things are trash.
With Disney Plus, they knocked it out the park with The Mandalorian. The Marvel shows were kind of put on hold due to filming with COVID and all that kind of stuff.
But you got to imagine that those are going to be great.
Yeah. But everything else, it's all pretty much older content. And then you've got the live action adaptations, and Mulan just came out. And we're not going to discuss, the whole boycott going on with Mulan. Because me personally, I'm just not as adverse knowledge-wise into I just know that a lot of people are boycotting the movie because of the actress. She supported
I didn't even know that was the thing.
She supported like the Hong Kong police or something like that when all the riots, or not the riots, but when the protests and everything were going on. Like the human rights protests. So I know a lot overseas they are protesting this movie, and then some people stateside are protesting as well.
Wow.
But for the people that have seen this movie,
that seems to be the consensus.
The $30.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus.
Like Dash was telling us about it, and he said, "Look, I wouldn't do it. Like, do not spend the money for it. Do not watch it." Now I've been on Facebook, and a few people have said they love the movie. They said it has a great message, different things like that. But here's my issue, and here's why I'm not gonna say I won't, but here's why I probably won't watch Mulan. Number one, there's no Mushu. Mushu made Mulan the animated. And granted, you could say because Eddie Murphy is the one that voiced Mushu, you could say that it's Eddie Murphy.
Sure.
And I know with the monopoly that Disney is, there is absolutely no way that they can say, well, we just didn't have the money to do a dragon, or we didn't have the money to pay Eddie Murphy to come back and reprise his role. Like, trust me, if you had thrown the right bag at Eddie Murphy, he would have came back and he would have reprised his role as Mushu. Like, 100%. And with Cricket, like that, the two of them, that was the tandem. Like that's my whole family. That's our favorite part of Mulan. It's just the tandem between Mushu and Cricket. But then he said that she used like the same fighting move like 3-4 times throughout the entire movie. He said the training part was just dragged on way too long, and
That's
it
true.
just wasn't really funny, and like it. He said it was kind of dry.
Mm,
So
it's true.
and that's a shame because I love, I grew up on the Disney movies, and Mulan was one of my favorite movies because the songs were dope, the fighting was dope, the concept, like the storyline was dope. Obviously, like I said, Mushu and Cricket were dope. Like it was a dope movie. I'll go back and watch it to this day. I have watched it, but I'll go watch the animated one way before I'll go
Yeah.
watch, the live action. So I think this is now. Granted, I don't think I've seen every live action Disney movie. I don't think.
I
I
haven't
gotta
seen
try to
none of
remember.
them.
But I
Yeah,
think this is the
maybe.
first one that's been a
I
true
heard Lion King
flop.
was all right. Lion King was
Uh,
pretty good.
Lion King was pretty good. Maleficent is very good.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Both the
Right.
first one and the sequel.
I heard Aladdin was
Um,
okay.
Aladdin, I loved Aladdin. Now,
Okay.
granted, Will Smith did a tremendous job as
Right.
Genie. Um, there
That's good.
was what was my one
I
con with
just don't
Aladdin?
have my problem with Disney.
I don't think I had a con with Aladdin.
My main problem with Disney movies in general is that I don't like musicals. So like Disney movies, once they start singing, I'm out of here. Sign me out, coach. Like take me out the game, send me back to the locker room. I want no parts of this. Frozen, that's not for me. None of that's for me. I can't do it. I can't. Like I just don't. I'm like, the best Disney movies for me are the ones where they're not singing.
But what Disney movies were they not singing
There's a
in?
few. Now there was a stretch. There was a stretch in time because of whatever reasons they had. They started to take the singing out of some of the movies. Like I don't think Hercules has any singing.
Yeah, it does. When
Does
he
it?
when at the start when Hercules met man, I cannot remember his name, but his trainer, uh like the short dude, the half goat, uh
Right.
when Hercules met him and he was like the training montage, like that was a whole musical, that was a whole
Mm,
song.
okay, but there
But I
was
don't think there was
definitely
a
a
lot
point.
of singing. There was
No,
not a lot of singing in Hercules.
but there was definitely a point where they there was like a
Oh,
movie
and
or
then you had
two where they took it out.
the whole choir at the beginning and end of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it was like the 4 or 5 like black chicks on the on the vases, like they were
Like the
singing and
only
dancing, all that kind of stuff.
the only Disney movie, those traditional movies at least, that is like, all right, I can live with this, is Lion King and kind of Aladdin. I'm kind of okay with whatever singing montage, because the Lion King singing montages, those are classic. Like those are like not corny. They're just like Hakuna Matata and like like I just can't wait to be king. Like those are okay. I can vibe with that.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. But they're just like, again, I just don't like musicals. And there's one exception to my musical rule. And it's only because my favorite actor, and I guess this is a reveal because this is not something we usually talk about, is Johnny Depp. Okay?
Really?
Yes. Um so the Demon Barber on Fleet Street is
Mm-hmm.
pretty much a musical, but I love that movie. And again, it probably has a lot to do with my Johnny Depp man crush. Okay. But yeah, that movie, I don't even regard that as being a musical when it really is.
So you've even seen the newer Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, I've seen all of them.
Because I
Anything with
haven't.
Jack Sparrow, if Johnny Depp was in there, I'm there for that. I love all of those Pirates movies because of him.
I only saw the first 3.
Even the ones that people say aren't good, I don't care because he's in it. He's Jack Sparrow and it's fantastic. Like Johnny Depp can do no wrong except a couple of times, but generally, he's spot on for me.
That's interesting.
Yeah, big reveal.
I'm trying to. I'm a music head. Just been dealing with music my whole life. Played instruments. Uh, I like, I like, I like musicals. I like the songs in Disney movies. But here's what I will say. I will admit when there's a movie that is over singing. Like I'm cool with a song here or there, but when you're over singing, like there's way too many songs, I'm like, okay, this is more musical than movie. Now if you want to be more musical than movie, like Fantasia is, then but it's put out like that. Like you went in knowing it's a musical.
Fantasia is different because that's not a, there's no dialogue.
True, but you know, like you're not going in thinking one thing and getting something else. Like,
and it's also not like people singing. It's more like just music.
Yeah, it's more instrumental.
Correct. It's fine.
It's instrumental and feel like the instruments are. It's going.
I could live with that. That's not right. That I don't mind at all.
But actually, like Cinderella had, what, Bippity Boppity Boo, and I think like one other song. But I think Cinderella only had like 2 songs. Aladdin had a couple songs, like you said. Lion King had a couple songs.
Lion King's great.
But it's when now Frozen. I'm not gonna lie, and maybe it's because I was older. I was just like, I don't want to build a snowman anymore. I don't care about you singing on. No.
Show me these powers though. Let's talk about that. Like that was the part of Frozen that I was interested in. Let's talk about these powers. Oh, Frozen. Like you forget all this singing. You've got powers. Can we explore that? Like what are these ice powers? I need to understand. How about let's drop the singing and explore these ice powers a little bit more.
So that's my only thing. Like I'm cool with a few songs here and there. Just don't like
if you cut the singing out of Frozen, that's X-Men. Like let's
that's X-Men. Oh man. But I say all this to say Disney might have flopped with Mulan. And this isn't like, and Mulan has been kind of an issue.
And you know what's crazy is that it couldn't have come at a better time, because think about had this movie released in the theaters and come under the same fire. Like that would have been wild. Like a Disney movie flopping like that. And then granted, Disney's track record with live action is kind of like up and down as it is, right? So it's like
because I think upcoming they're supposed to be having The Little Mermaid come out live action.
Yeah. I don't need these movies live action. That's my thing.
What else I could probably live action?
I didn't watch Lion King, but I would, as far as in terms of live action. Even though it was all CG, and a lot of people were like, "Yo, I felt like it was real." Like, and that's cool, But the other stuff, I'm like, I could do without it. This is the same reason why Disney Plus, it came in hot, and then we got it, and then we were like, "Oh, wait a minute."
Because the problem was they suckered us in on the nostalgia. And we fell for it.
And they were like Simpsons. They kept throwing Simpsons at us.
But then the problem was once we actually opened up Disney Plus, we were like, okay, I'm glad all this nostalgia stuff is here, but I don't want to watch this right now.
Yeah, you're like, I've seen all the Star Wars movies. I've seen all the Marvel movies. You're like,
but it's one thing if it's, well, I'm not going to lie. I've rewatched every single Marvel movie on there.
I mean, because why not?
But, I mean, hey, it was quarantine. Now, the nostalgia is good if you pair it with original content. Once everyone was done with The Mandalorian, that was it. We had nothing else.
They need to come through with the Marvel shows, the WandaVision, and the Captain America, the whatchamacallit?
Oh, the Falcon and Winter
Captain
Soldier.
America's Winter Soldier stuff. Yeah, like obviously, of course, that stuff is kind of drawn back, halted, and it's been dialed back because of COVID and all that stuff. Just like the Batman, apparently. because
Bruh,
Robert
the
Pattinson
trailer had everybody
has,
talking. Everybody was like, "Okay, this might be dope." And then what?
and
A
then
week
my man
later,
test positive for COVID. Like, oh, can we not? Like, we're finally about to get like what is arguably a definitive. I
hey,
mean,
let's
we
talk
had.
about it. Let's talk, but we're not going to talk about the trailer. We're going to talk about Batman.
Oh my god! I look.
And here's the thing about Batman. Do we give Batman a pass
Oh,
for being kind of being a dirtbag?
oh, wait a minute. Hold on a minute. I'm
Because
gonna
let's look.
need you to clarify, sir.
All right. So here's the situation. Put yourself in the shoes of the thugs.
All
You're
right,
not Penguin. You're not Joker. You're not any of them. You're just a lowly henchman.
but you're still a criminal.
You true? Yeah, you are.
Okay, good. All right, we established
Yeah,
that.
you're
Good.
still doing criminal acts and all that kind of stuff, but you're
Got
just
it.
in their shoes.
Okay.
You wake up in the morning, you send your kids off to school, you kiss your girl and all that kind of stuff, and you're like, all right, man, the Joker's got me out here, setting up these traps and everything for this bank heist that we got going on. It's just my job to, secure the bus and all this kind of stuff.
And then the
And
Joker
then
kills you?
and
Is
then
that
no,
what,
no,
I
the Joker
mean,
doesn't. No,
well,
we're
I
not going
mean,
movie route. We're not going
oh,
movie
okay,
route.
I'm sorry. Go
But
ahead.
and then night because Batman don't show up until nighttime anyway.
Well,
Because that whole scene with Bane when they were
true.
fighting in the daytime, I was like, yo, this
Oh
ain't
yeah,
Batman. He don't
that's
fight in the
right. They were
daytime.
fighting. I mean, hey, you gotta switch up
That's
eventually.
true. So, but nighttime falls. The Joker's like, hey y'all, it's time to hit this bank. So you hit the bank. Batman shows up. You're just standing there holding a bag of money. Now you are not a martial arts expert at all.
Well, it's not your fault.
And
I mean, well, it is your fault, but
he is a martial arts expert, and he
yes,
knows he's a martial arts expert.
of course he is.
But he stands there and he beats the brakes off you. I
Well,
mean, he breaks
hey,
your
whose fault
arm,
is that?
breaks your leg,
He's still
and then
alive.
he's pounding you in your face and everything. And then he's like, "Now tell me where the Joker is."
Yeah,
Bruh,
hey, give up the
I am in
information.
pain.
Too bad. Look. You chose
I
this
am
life of
in
crime.
agony. Like I'm probably unconscious as you're asking me this
You
question.
chose this life of crime.
Like, why can't Batman, use some intimidation?
He does that too.
And then, ask them the question. If they say, I ain't talking, then then you do a couple punches, let them know that you're about that life.
I mean, he does
And
that
then they're
sometimes.
like, I'm still ain't talking, or they might talk, whichever one or two. If they talk, then knock them out. Then you can knock them out, but you got your answer.
I mean,
But
he's
because
not
it
gonna
just
lie
seems
either way.
weird for Batman to go in and immediately start knocking you out, and then he asks you the question, and obviously you can't answer the question.
Well,
Like your jaw broke, like your arm and legs are broke, like you, and then he just leaves you there.
well,
like
hey, look, the police will be here to come pick you up.
it's just, oh my gosh. I mean, granted, I like Batman and everything, but as you get older and you start seeing that kind of stuff, you're like, bro, he could have at least asked first, like ask his question, and then if they didn't answer him, then go and do whatever it is that he wanted to do. Like he just went in and straight started fighting people, breaking arms, breaking legs, and
Hey, look, you shouldn't be out here robbing banks. No mercy.
like if
for
you
you
see, like, so going back to the new Batman movie in the trailer, like if you see when he's beating dude down and all the other thugs are standing there like,
I don't want any of that.
right.
I don't want that. I didn't come here for those problems.
This is not what I signed up for.
I'm as a critical Batman fan, as a DC fan, because of my nature of loving speed and the Flash quintessentially being my favorite superhero, I've realized over the years that I'm just as much of, or maybe even more of, a fan of Batman and the properties of Batman. Just like the style is different, just different iterations over the years, villains, just everything. It's just excellent. Character has issues, this new The Batman upcoming movie, Robert Pattinson, I'm very excited for. Just the look, the feel, the design of the suit, the Batmobile. And even now, it's even arguably, a lot of rankings. There's a lot of new rank the bat suits, and this one is ranking at atop of a lot of these lists. And
But
the
that
movie ain't
doesn't
even out
surprise
yet.
me also because, Hollywood's gotten a whole lot better than what it was,
Yeah, yeah. Which is
back in.
why right now the best two, and it's not just because of what we have from a technological standpoint, because from what I've noticed, like the top three is like the Batman, um, the Ben Affleck Batman suit, and the Michael Keaton 1989 Batman suit.
Okay.
So like those are like the three best at the moment from everybody's kind of point of view. um, I'm very excited, and now who knows when this shit's gonna come out? I don't even know what the date was supposed to be originally. Whatever that is now going to change because who knows what goes from here, because he's tested positive. It's not just like, oh, I came in contact with somebody and I gotta quarantine for 2 weeks, whatever. What is the time frame for somebody who tests positive, right? Like, it's a shame. I mean, but it's still going to be great, in
All
my
right.
opinion, whenever
So
it comes out. So,
here's another thing that everybody's been saying about the Batmans.
oh,
Well, okay, let me ask you this. I'm pretty sure that you completely enjoy the most recent trilogy because Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan. I'll get back to that in a minute, but yes, fuck
But
Christopher Nolan.
outside of Christopher
Dark Knight
Nolan,
Rises, okay.
who is your favorite Batman,
Michael Keaton.
and who is your favorite Bruce Wayne?
Michael Keaton. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, you said
Is it
outside
Michael
of
Keaton for
Nolan.
both?
I okay, Michael Keaton for Batman, but for Bruce Wayne, probably George Clooney.
So I have a tie for Bruce Wayne. It's a tie between, and man, because I haven't like I had to go back to see the Michael Keaton joints. Like I didn't grow up with them.
And you were blown away.
But Clooney and Bale did a very good job as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I think Bale's Bruce Wayne was okay.
Well, here's what I like about Bale's Bruce Wayne. What I like about Bale's Bruce Wayne is he didn't win.
Yeah,
like he didn't
true.
get the girl. Alfred left him.
Yeah.
Like, and so it's like you can have all this money in the world, but he's still been losing his whole life. Starting from the death of his parents all the way up until then, and he really like encompassed that.
Yeah.
And had to put that aside and do what he had to do. But Christian Bale is by far the worst Batman.
I mean, I don't know about the worst. That's a stretch for me. I mean, he overdid the voice a little bit.
His voice is terrible.
He overdid the voice a little bit, but you got to understand what he was going for. Because the Batmans that were before him didn't have to do Dark Knight Batman. They were just doing
Batman.
Just, kind of regular universe Batman, right?
But
so they didn't have to. He oversold the voice, and I understand the kind of it was kind of the why people don't like it. But you have to also understand he was playing a different Batman. It wasn't just like run of the mill Batman. It was like, okay, I got to be Dark Knight Batman, which is a different Batman.
The Dark Knight trilogy was the perfect, and I hate that they. And I don't know the story behind it. I really don't. But I hate that they teased us with Nightwing, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
We could have,
and we got nothing.
I think that I don't hate that because it would have been too much. It would have been too, because then he brought Catwoman in, which was fine. It kind of worked out a little bit, but it would have been too much to bring that in, because where do you fit that in?
Well, see, okay, so so that kind of leads me to my next question, but I guess you kind of answered it. Because I think the Dark Knight trilogy was a perfect style of Batman to bring in Damian as Robin.
I also think that Nolan purposely avoided doing Robin. I don't think it was ever on his. It was ever on his blueprint, if you will, especially because where the series left off. Because any Batman fan will tell you that fourth Batman movie doesn't exist. Okay, what is it called? Batman and Robin? Yeah, we don't. We just pretend like that movie doesn't exist. Okay.
I think that was the very first Batman movie I watched too.
Oh God, you
I want to
poor
say,
soul.
was that the first one I ever saw?
Please
I want to say yes, it was. That was the very first Batman movie I ever watched.
Alicia Silverstone, Batgirl.
So actually, I had nowhere to go but
Mr.
up
Freeze?
from there.
Yeah, you started at the bottom, like the under the dirt, like that movie.
Because I had to go back and watch the one with Jim Carrey.
That one was fine. The problem with Batman Forever is that it gets looped in with Batman and Robin because Joel Schumacher was the same director,
right? But
Batman Forever was okay. It was fine. Batman Robin, God, that movie was abysmal. Now I am gonna rewatch them. There's a Kind of Funny crew is they do an review and they're coming up on doing the Batman series, and I'm gonna kind of ride along with them and rewatch it because they're starting with the Adam West Batman.
Oh, okay. R.I.P. to Adam West.
R.I.P. indeed. The man that kicked it off, and that movie is ridiculous and fantastic all at the same time. He is like, there's a part in that movie where he has a bomb that one, I think the Joker, a Penguin, or whatever. Mind you, there's like 5 villains in this movie. And they're all like in cahoots in the same, like it's Riddler, Joker, Penguin, Catwoman. It is ridiculous. It is fantastic at the same time. So one of them has like this bomb somewhere, and Batman, he's out there, he's got to defuse, he's got to find the bomb. He finds the bomb. So he finds the bomb. It's a big circular, it's a big circle with a big fuse on top. The quintessential cartoonish bomb.
Right.
So he starts to run around with this bomb, trying to find somewhere to like throw it. He's running. This goes on for like 5 minutes. He runs to the piers like a baby. He's like, oh, no, I can't. He's running around with this thing. It is the most ridiculous thing. It is great. It is great. And he's got like and that was like when the utility belt was like a thing. And then he has like shark repellent. Like a shark. He's in the water. He's being like lifted up from like a helicopter, and a shark bites onto his leg. And he's, my shark repellent.
Lord.
That movie is atrociously great. And I'm going to watch it shortly. For a refresher. I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna watch the 89. I'm gonna watch Batman Returns. Those 2 movies are excellent. Forever I liked. Begrudgingly, I will watch Batman and Robin. I don't want to, but I will.
Robert Pattinson didn't look like a good Bruce Wayne.
Well,
he looks too sad.
I mean, we'll see. I think he'll be. That is true. Batman,
also, this is all a trailer. We'll see.
Yeah, I think he'll be a great Batman.
The Batmobile looks dope, though,
and the suit. Oh my God, the suit looks dope as shit.
And we need to give Ben Affleck some credit.
I give Ben Affleck a lot of credit. Let's not. I just think he just got
great
stuck.
Batman.
Yes, he just got stuck in bad scripted movies.
Yes,
and that's not his fault.
Correct.
But he was a good Batman. Like, and you got to remember, his Batman is different. He was playing old man Batman, man Bruce Wayne. I'm at the end of my line. I'm at the end of my rope as being Batman. Like,
And I'm real. Well, okay. So let me say this before I say that. So he did a great job with that, and he did a great job as portraying that Batman that understands. And granted, this is the only live action Batman where you had the Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't kind of fair to the other Batmans, but he did portray that, that side of Batman where he's like, okay, I understand that I am on a team full of gods,
Right.
but at the end of the day, I got to be the one to take them out if anything goes wrong.
I'm Batman, damn it! I got a contingency plan for everybody.
Right. And he did a good job putting off that, that facade, that mood.
Because that was always Batman's thing in Justice League and the comics and the shows, all that thing. Batman
always had like
there,
that sliver of kryptonite and everything.
Like, yo, I got this here in case I need to use it. In case one day we got Red Sun Superman. I need to.
So my thing is, and I don't know this. So is this new Batman supposed to tie in with the Flash and Aquaman?
When you say this new Batman, you talking about Robert Pattinson?
Yeah.
No, this is.
So
as far as I know, this is the opposite. This is like the early origins, which is why it's titled The Batman, because The Batman was always like the origin stories of Batman. His early days and figuring out, even before Batman Begins, right? Even though Batman Begins was an origin story, this is the true, like, kind of year one Batman type of stuff where
which is why finding his way and finding
his bat suit looks like pieced together. Even though it looks dope, it's very pieced together, kind of like it's like armor, kind of like.
The Batcave isn't necessarily like all done. It's not even really a cave right now. And
correct. This is the real true early Batman stuff.
Okay, I didn't know if it was supposed to tie together, and all that kind of stuff. And I don't even know where the Justice League even goes from here. Granted, we got the Zack Snyder cut.
4 hours.
Coming out next year, January, I believe. So I won't be getting HBO until January.
We get a free trial for HBO Max. We'll hold it until then.
Right. But I'm curious just to see where Justice League goes from here. Wonder Woman's been great.
Yeah.
With, and her.
Who knows where anything goes from here? Because
COVID. I don't think is Superman even supposed to come back? Like the actor Henry, however you pronounce his last name. Yeah, like. Is he? I know there are rumors like he wasn't supposed to come back as Superman.
That I've heard. I heard that also. I don't know. I would like him to.
Ezra Miller's still young for the Flash.
Yeah, and that was, and in his movie, you're getting Michael Keaton as Batman.
Aren't there supposed to be 3 Batmans in that movie? Because isn't it? I don't know. Is it the Flashpoint movie?
Good question.
Is it the Flashpoint?
I feel like I should know this. But
no, because even in the Flashpoint movie, like that was the older Batman, which obviously Michael Keaton fits that. But I can't remember if someone said something about like there being 3 Batmans in that movie. Don't quote me on that. I'm just trying to remember what I possibly have read.
Right.
But the Flash has some of the best storylines for a movie, for Solo, because Flashpoint would be a tremendous movie if it's done correctly.
Yeah, as long as they don't fuck it up. Please don't. Just don't.
Like, please don't, because it is great. And I don't even know if they've even picked who would even play the Reverse Flash, but you've got to have a great person to be.
Don't mess that up.
Like
and the TV show nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel like it shouldn't be that hard. It's like they should have just been like, hey, let's just ask. If we're casting these roles, let's just see if the people.
But see, the TV show and I thought about that too. But when all this started, when DC restarted their universe and everything, they said they went the opposite of Marvel.
Yeah,
so Marvel's TV was in the same universe as the movies, but DC's TV is not in the same universe as their movies. And DC's TV has done a great job. Green Arrow was great. Flash is great. Now, granted, I don't too much like the way Green Arrow ended. but that's a conversation for another.
I didn't get to the end of it.
But as a show, it was a tremendous show. Flash is tremendous. Black Lightning is tremendous.
I haven't watched Black Lightning.
Supergirl is a good show. I've missed this entire.
I fell off on Supergirl.
This entire last season I've missed, but it's a good show. What else you got? I actually
Legends of Tomorrow.
I like Legends of Tomorrow. It's more comedy, or I don't want to say comedy, but it's more comical.
Yeah, except that I watched some of the crossovers because as I was going through Flash, it had those crossover episodes,
right?
And I was like, ah. And in the Flash part of it, it was like episode 3 of the Crisis thing, and I'm like, so I had to look up where it was in the other ones. I was like, fuck. And when what, spoiler alert. So I'll pause for spoilers for anybody who plans that they want to watch the entire DC universe of TV shows. When what's his name dies, that was, we're talking about Legends of Tomorrow, and I think that was the episode that was integrated into Flashes or Green Arrows when the professor dies.
Yeah,
that was, obviously not comedy. That was like, wow, man, that's rough.
TV deaths are always rough because it's not like a movie where you've only been with this character for like an hour and a half, whatever.
This has been
you've been with these characters for seasons.
Yeah, and it's just like, and especially something like that where Firestorm is a character that's like that required 2 people to make the shit work. Like, and one of them dies. It's like, oh, damn! Like,
it puts the other person obsolete.
That was heartbreaking.
Because you got one's the body and the other's the brain.
Right? Like,
when the brain's gone, like
that was tough. That was definitely heartbreaking. I was like, that was sad. I didn't sign up for that. I'm trying to have a good time here. Like, I'm not here for any of the sadness. Like, but that was definitely a moment.
Yeah.
But those shows are good. And again, I understand why you couldn't have the same actor portray the role in a movie. I get it, but he would have been better. Not taking nothing away from Ezra Miller or whatever, but we have a Flash that's
I don't like his
TV
suit.
show. No, the suit is kind of. They'll probably have it figured out for his standalone movie.
And I think they went to Hollywood with his suit. Like I think they could have simplified it a little bit and still would have been fine. Like we've been fine with Grant Gustin's
It'll be way more simplified, I'm sure, in the standalone Flash movie. I definitely firmly believe that, because I feel like by the time we get to this Flash, it was kind of like, oh, here's a high tech, suit for you, whatever the case may be, because you're part of the Justice League type shit, whatever the case.
Trying to compete with Marvel in the suit department and all that.
Yeah. So I think his standalone movie, it'll be.
Back
a little bit
now. Okay, now with what you just said, that's actually true, or that's not true, but it's possible that they learn from it, because Marvel had to learn from Captain America, because they tried to redo his suit in Winter Soldier. And then after Winter Soldier, they were like, okay, guys, this was a great movie, but the only con that everybody has about this movie is Captain America's suit. So they simplified it when they went to, Civil War and all the other Avengers that came after it. So hopefully, DC does the same thing with Flash's suit.
I've been going down a rabbit hole on YouTube of watching Endgame reactions again. Like Endgame movie theater reactions, like they're special to watch.
Bro,
even
that scene
now,
when they're walking through that portal,
and it's like here's the kicker to shout out to Marvel, because these characters are coming back at some point, and they still found a way to make the shit like catch you off guard. It was just like. Bro, like, when is this happening? It was just like,
but
how?
here's one thing I've always said that I love and I want to see movies do, and Marvel did it. Granted, you knew that at the end of the day they were gonna beat Thor, everybody was gonna come back, all that kind of stuff. But in Infinity War, the way that they all basically disintegrated, and then the movie was done.
Done. Yeah, Infinity
Like, so
War
at the end of Infinity War, Thor, Thanos wins.
That's
Like
why I
the
keep telling
villain
people.
wins.
Wins.
That doesn't happen in movies.
No, it doesn't. There's no people are like, oh, can you name a movie with a villain? Yes, Infinity War, Thanos.
Yes.
Because let's not forget that they have to go back in time. There isn't like, oh, we can write this from here. No. That timeline is done. There's no.
And technically, the Thanos that they fight in Endgame is from the past. So their present Thanos that they killed, they chopped his head off.
Already won.
He technically wins.
Done. That world was forever changed.
Right. So it's always amazing to see. It's almost like the sport movies where hey, basketball always does it. 10 seconds on the clock, he's running down the court, he spots up for the three, and then he either gets it blocked or it bricks. You're just like, oh, like you don't expect it.
Carlton and Fresh Prince.
Well, Carlton just should have never taken that shot. We all know that. That was just tremendous episode, by the way. But he should have never taken that shot. But Marvel did a great job, and that's why I'm glad that they decided at the last minute to not name the movies Infinity War Part 1 and Infinity War Part 2.
Yeah.
They're just like, nah, this is Infinity War.
No.
Thanos wins.
He wins. Done. End of story.
And then to start Endgame as somber as they did, everyone's like, what do we do?
Endgame in the beginning was like, yo, what are we fucking doing?
Bro, to watch Black Widow
Captain America
is in I think she was eating like a ham and cheese sandwich. Like
a peanut butter jelly or some shit.
Like Captain America is the most struggle food for a superhero in this huge, complex. Like, let me just eat this sandwich on white bread while I just had this virtual conference with everyone, and everyone's saying that nothing's going good.
Captain America is going to
AA meetings,
rehab, AAA type meetings. Like, yo, this is where do we go from here? Like, that was a good ass movie. That was a ride. And if you were in a good theater, you enjoyed it.
And granted, another spoiler alert, but if you're watching this podcast and if you're just a human being, you should have seen Endgame by now.
There's no reason that you shouldn't have seen this movie.
And if you haven't seen it, you probably already know. But I'm just going to say it, spoiler alert. So if you don't want to see it, skip ahead. But Black Widow's death scene,
I was hoping they could.
There was a small part of me that wanted it to be Ronin. Like, there was just a small part of me.
I think everybody felt that way.
And
it was also like, at the same time, most people were like, a lot of people were like, I don't care how this turns out. But at the same time,
I was like, yo, like,
it was, I think they played it right, where it's like they're fighting for, like, no, I'm going to do it. No, I'm going to do it. No, I'm going to. They're trying to stop each other.
Because really, their characters, there's nothing their characters could do on a big scale. Because you even see it in Age of Ultron. Like, Hawkeye was more of the father figure to.
Even when you think about the final showdown and the fight scene in Endgame, tell me what you remember about Hawkeye in that scene. You can call out Spider-Man.
The one scene that I do remember is when Black Panther said, Clint, give it here.
Right.
And then after that, I don't think I even remember him until Iron Man dies.
Spoiler alert. Call out, what's her name? I forget. That's in Black Panther. One of the generals, whatever the case may be.
Oh, I always forget her name.
Yeah, you can call her out. Even like I said, obviously Thor and all these other characters, all the female characters.
The Hulk didn't have anything
right.
Really going on, but he was pretty much a punk once Thanos beat him up. Like,
yeah, he didn't really.
Now Marvel did fail there. Marvel failed with Hulk.
They did. Hulk is tough.
He was great in the first Avengers movie.
Yes.
And he was
Yeah, I think
he was okay in Age of Ultron.
Yeah, he was there though. It was all right. And then after that, it was.
But after he got beat up by Thanos, like, no. Oh, and obviously he was great in Ragnarok.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying because that's the best version of Hulk, which is the Planet Hulk storyline. I've mentioned this before on a couple of different podcasts, but the Planet Hulk storyline of the Hulk is the quintessential best storyline. And if they were to ever to do a Hulk movie, which I don't think they're ever planning on doing, and I'm pretty much sure they said as much, that's the only storyline that they could explore. And they explored most of it in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
So you kind of can't use that anymore. So
yeah, so
you're not getting a Hulk. You're not getting a Mark Ruffalo standalone Hulk movie.
They
so
failed. And Mark Ruffalo was a really, really good Dr. Banner.
He was a good Banner. He was a good Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
Hands down. There's no competition for either.
And so the knock isn't on him. The knock is just on the writing of the character of Hulk.
Yep. As always.
And that is where Marvel failed. But to say that, so he didn't really have a spot in Endgame either, but you don't really get Hawkeye at the end.
No.
Like that's
you don't at all.
So that's why I was like,
except in that sequence where he's fighting off the, in the tunnels or whatever, he's fighting off those.
Oh yeah, that is true.
When he has the
that was pretty good.
That's the lead up, right? That's what you get out of him, because once you get to the final scene, you're like, all right, we don't need you in this scene anymore.
Yeah, this is too big for you. Like, you did what you could. We thank you for your service. We don't need you. Please just go over to the sideline and man the snacks, and that's about it.
Yo, what is Spider-Man swinging off of when he makes his entrance out of the portal?
So, all right, this has been another great episode of the Sports Gaming Anonymous podcast. That is the one thing I always hate talking about, because Spider-Man I love Iron Man. Don't get me wrong, I love Iron Man. But Spider-Man is my all-time favorite.
That's a lot of people, because Spider-Man has, in terms of Marvel, outside of the X-Men, Spider-Man is Batman. He's got the best villains. He's got the best.
No, this isn't even outside of. No,
I'm just saying.
Like it is Spider-Man and Power Rangers for me. Like that is.
But a lot of people feel that way because he's the quintessential. He's the most popular Marvel character. Yeah. Like so, because
the Sinister Six, great set of villains.
Because you can name all. Again, it's like Batman. You can name all this. His singular villains are like epic. Green Goblin.
And the villains that he fought,
Venom, Carnage,
they could be reoccurring villains because one, A, he didn't want to kill anybody,
right?
And B, they never really did anything where they were like trying to blow up the world, like world ending.
Correct.
Like, all he had to do was, please don't rob this bank. Please don't take this serum. Please don't take, don't rob the company of this.
Just like Batman. Batman and Spider-Man is, to Marvel what Batman is to DC. Because even though some people have other characters that might be stronger or they might favor more, or whatever the case may be, they're the most recognizable. And I'm not even and not taking away from Superman, even though I hate Superman, but how many Superman villains can you name outside of Lex Luthor and the Brainiac?
You've got you got Doomsday.
Darkseid. Who?
Doomsday,
right? Doomsday. But
isn't Darkseid? Isn't he more of a Justice League villain?
He's probably more of a. He's probably more of a whole scale villain. But outside of that, you could rattle off 5 Batman villains without even having to think about it. And it's the same thing with Spider-Man. And just like any of the other heroes in Marvel, how many Iron Man villains can you name? How many Captain America villains can you name? It's not going to be more than Spider-Man, I promise you. So
very true.
They're the most popular characters in their medium.
The other thing also is the different suits.
Right. And those two characters have epic suits.
Mm-hmm.
And the only one close to it is maybe like Iron Man.
Oh, most definitely. But that was more once the movie universe came into effect.
Correct.
Beforehand, he didn't really have different suits like that.
100% agreed. And again, this is all I always have
and
to
then
put
just as
X-Men
a character
in their own category.
As a character, especially, those of us that grew up, we were smart, we didn't have the best of time getting the girls, and we didn't have the best of time getting, having the friends and all that stuff. Like, you related to Peter Parker. Like, he was that average everyday guy with superpowers, trying to balance, being a good high school student and living the normal high school life, but also, obviously being a superhero and stuff like that. So it was relatable outside of, the superhero part, but his life was relatable. He's not some, billionaire, trillionaire, whatever, like, Tony Stark or I was about to say Bruce Banner or Bruce Wayne. Mm-hmm. He's not some alien like, Clark Kent.
True.
He's relatable.
True.
So it's just,
it's easy. I agree.
Spider-Man's the GOAT.
So what's he swinging off of when he comes out of that portal?
All right. So, how about them Celtics and the Eagles are going to be playing next Sunday? We go up against the Washington football team.
Because in the fight, you can argue, you can pick anything.
Maybe swinging off one of the ships. The complex was blown up by Thanos' ship. So all the rubble, like the tall structures from the rubble, that's what he was swinging off of.
Coming out of the portal.
Oh no! On the planet, on Titan, you had the giant structures. He probably swung from one of those. See, I got your back, Spider-Man. I got you.
Yeah.
But here is my only flaw. And actually, with you bringing this up, it just popped into my head. Here's a flaw with Endgame. So, when everybody comes back to life in the area or in the place that they vanished from.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened to all the people that vanished from the Avengers complex? Because the complex was destroyed. So they would have technically came back to life in a condemned building. And with all this battle, with this huge battle going on, I don't think a lot of them would have made it out alive. So if someone has a thought on that, please drop it in the comment below.
You do that.
That really just popped into my head. And now I'm kind of perplexed.
Now he's gonna go down a rabbit hole of Endgame and Marvel.
Because maybe everybody didn't come back. Maybe everybody didn't come back right away. Maybe Hulk only brought back everybody that was fighting in Wakanda. And then when Iron Man snapped his fingers, he got rid of Thanos' army and brought everyone back. There we go. That's how I fixed it. Never mind. You can still drop your thoughts in the comments below.
Full circle on it.
But I just fixed it. There we go. Boom.
Well, thank you for clearing that up. We appreciate it.
There are no flaws in Endgame now.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's great. It's a great movie. It's not perfect like Back to the Future is, which I watched earlier today, but it's
none of that stuff happened. I am not on a hoverboard. I do not have shoes that lace themselves.
Whoa. No, of course it didn't, but Back to the Future is still a perfect movie. Although I will say Endgame did poo-poo the Back to the Future time travel theory, which
every time travel
movie
movie
I don't appreciate.
Poo-poos Back to the Future because everyone comes up with their own philosophy of how time travel works.
It's true. It's very true. If only this was the thing and we could actually figure out how it actually would operate if it were true.
But it is funny how everyone always breaks that wall and they talk about Back to the Future whenever they do time travel.
Of course, that's
they're like,
the
oh,
grandfather
of
time
future?
Travel.
No, not like Back to the Future. That's far fetched. What I'm saying in my movie
because
is the actual way time travel.
Yeah, because time travel is not a far fetched concept in and of itself. Oh man, I don't know. I wish time travel was a thing. I would just like to go look at things. I wouldn't change anything because
we're gonna have to save that for another episode.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
that's a rabbit hole.
Talk about time travel.
I wasn't even going to get into that. I was glossing over as we close this out.
So you come back next week.
Exactly. I'm leaving. That is a cliffhanger. That was a cliffhanger for this week's episode of this.
That was more of a mic drop than a cliffhanger, but I don't have I don't have an animation for a cliffhanger. No,
and I'm not dropping my mic.
So that would be very bad.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
It's very loud.
These things cost money. Good money at that. This isn't cheap. It's Blue Yeti out here.
Good hard-earned money.
$20 for this mic? What do you think this is?
We can't just be out here dropping $20 mics.
What is it? No, this is professional, baby. Come on, we do this. Anyway, I suppose this is the section of the podcast where we close things out. We've covered everything between just the two of us here. We somehow managed to transition from and full disclosure, we pull the curtain back here from time to time. We have no reason to lie to you. We don't have enough people, we haven't even gotten to the point where we can even conceive, lying to our followers. Okay.
All 36 of you at this point.
Right. But again, pulling back the curtain, we didn't come in here with a blueprint. We didn't be like, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to do this and we're going to look. Out of the spur of anywhere, I decided to ask him about his trash ass Celtics and the playoffs that nobody's watching, nobody cares about. From there, we got to games somehow. I don't even remember at this point. And from there, we got to randomness.
All kinds of randomness.
The anonymous section of Sports Gaming Anonymous. So we've touched all the bases here. Not that we purposely try to touch all bases, but sometimes it comes together very nicely. Sometimes we end up talking about games for an entire episode, which some of you hate, but that's okay. Because some of you are not here for that. And so that's what Flash and Dash is for. You're like, why? I didn't come here for video games. I came here for, the bubble of content, if you will. And today you got the bubble of content from just two members of the Sports Gaming Anonymous crew. The only two members that have showed up on every Sports Gaming Anonymous podcast, by the way. So we're just putting that out there. So we're going to keep that trend going. And so don't think that you're going to come to a Sports Gaming Anonymous podcast and not see myself or Dre.
If you do, please call 911.
One of us has been kidnapped.
So pay the ransom.
Or has a dire emergency. Or is in the hospital.
I hope you have the money for the ransom.
Pay the ransom. Or if that happens, make sure you tell the crew to start a GoFundMe for the ransom. Because apparently that's still a thing. People still do GoFundMes, right?
I need to start a GoFundMe.
We're gonna start a GoFundMe for the Sports Gaming Anonymous for everybody to get upgraded equipment.
Yes.
Everybody to be on the same page. I need a capture card. Christmas is coming up. My birthday was in April, so that passed already. We've missed that window. I had a COVID birthday.
My birthday's coming up in November.
Well, you don't need a capture card though.
But I am saving up for a camera.
You do need a camera. That's true.
I'm also saving up for a new computer.
Well, okay. Fair. But
we need an audio mixer.
Oh, that is true. And those aren't cheap.
C needs a computer and a mic.
He definitely needs a mic. Probably a camera as well. Look, everybody can't be up on this Logitech C920 game or whatever the case may be. Watch. My goodness. Look, we've got needs out here. Sports Game Anonymous, we're trying to take it to the next level. And if you want to contribute to that, we have nothing happening for you to contribute to. Send us a check.
If you would like to contribute, you could always send your contributions to Cash App at $Dre80Day. Just put in the subject line, Sports Gaming Anonymous, and it'll definitely go to something that will benefit Sports Gaming Anonymous.
True. We would never use your funds for personal gain. Nobody's taking your funds and going out to the strip club.
Exactly.
We promise you money.
Your funds so we can give you more content,
better content, and better quality content from a production standpoint. We're not, we promise not to use your money for hookers and booze.
True.
That's not what we're about here. Well, booze, yes, but that, that's a personal purchase.
I don't drink, so your money won't be used on that for me.
Well, that's all right. He doesn't drink yet. Once the hardships of life set in, we'll revisit this conversation in 4 years. Remember, you heard it here first on this episode.
And right now, I'm 3 years. I know we got to end this podcast, but I'm 3 years and 3 months from the last time I had alcohol.
Jesus.
Yep.
That's a thing. Huh.
And I wasn't, just so y'all know, I was not an alcoholic or anything like that. I've never really been a big drinker. It was just, I just remember because it was a party. It was a going away / graduation party for one of my friends. And it was the last time I had a drink. And I just but I actually remember it. So,
well, I mean, the last time I had a drink,
yesterday,
20 minutes ago, however long ago it was where I finished what was in here. So, wow, that has been another tantalizing episode of the Sports Gaming Anonymous podcast. We thank you, as always, for joining us along this ride as we continue to give you consistent content that you want. And again, in the Facebook group and on these videos that go up on YouTube, don't be shy. There are people, these videos go up and they get views. Some of you are watching. Comment. Tell us why we suck or don't. Say something. I don't care. Even if you have to be critical. We're here for all of that. Okay? So we appreciate all of that. We'll take constructive criticism in stride. Because that's what we do around here.
Most definitely.
And I am Ree, a.k.a. SGA Flash, a.k.a. Flash Extreme, a.k.a. anything it is, as long as it isn't Henry, right? So, as usual. And of course, as usual, that is always in tow with me on these podcasts, regardless of whoever else is here, the best producer in the business, Dre Wingate, will be here. So thank you for joining me tonight. And go check out the very first episode of Reviews, RI-Views. I reviewed Madden NFL 21 for the Xbox One. It's trash, but go watch the review. Please leave a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you happen to like Madden. Subscribe to the Sports Gaming Anonymous channel because that's where you're going to find it. And Dre, tell them where else they can find us.
So outside of the YouTube page, you can find us on Instagram at Sports Gaming Anonymous. You can find us on Twitter at Sports Games Anon. Join the Facebook group, Sports Gaming Anonymous. It is a private Facebook group. Yeah, wow, woo! It is a private Facebook group, but I mean, we rarely ever turn anybody away. But once you do get access and you are approved to join, just know that we are a group where we are all about, expressing ourselves. Different opinions are welcome. The biggest thing that we just say, respect. Correct. Any sign of disrespect, I'm sorry, you're gonna be out of there. Like I said on our last episode,
we have removed people.
You have to remove a guy. He was a little bit too disrespectful. There's some disrespect that we let slide.
Just don't be reckless.
But this was one where everybody was like, "Nah, he's got to go."
You got to go.
So don't be that guy. But yeah, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You're already on our YouTube, and I know you've already clicked that subscribe button, and I know you clicked that bell to be notified when we post videos. I know
we got videos. We got videos, and we have content coming. Again, we have the Sports Gaming Anonymous podcast. We have the Flash and Dash podcast. We have the Old School Gamers podcast. And shout out to my man in crime on that channel, on that podcast, which is my man C1, who has recently added another member to his clan of family. Man's got a whole basketball team over there. But new episodes of the Old School Gamers will be coming soon. And, of course, like I said, brand new, fresh, hot out the gate, my review podcast, Reviews. So we have content for you. And, again, we're all on Twitch. We're exploring that. We're going to be getting the YouTube gaming thing going. But I'm on Twitch, SGA Flash. I'm everywhere at SGA Flash.
I'm actually on Twitch at Dre Smooth.
And he's trash, playing Call of Duty and all kind of crap.
Wait a minute. I have been carrying our teams on Warzone the past few weeks. I have. See, this is that disrespect. I get no respect around here. Just know, I don't even think Reese beat me on Madden in a while.
Whoa. All right. So, because I've retired myself from any real competition in Madden, because I don't, again, go check out my review if you need to know about Madden 21. But from a competitive standpoint, I will come out of the gate of the retirement temporarily. I will do,
Are we gonna have to reignite this rivalry?
Old wrestler joint where I come back at the Royal Rumble. I ain't been wrestling for 20 years type of shit.
All right, we might have to reignite this rivalry,
and that'll be up on Twitch. So look forward to that, because apparently Dre's trying to get these hands. So
I ain't worried.
He says he's not worried. He should be. I'm an X Factor. I don't give a goddamn if I win or lose, because Madden sucks. So I'm reckless. I am reckless Joe out here. I don't care. Wild West. I'm unpredictable. So, hey, look forward to that. Look forward to this tournament we got coming up. Or it may have gone live by the time you watch this video.
It has.
Greatest video game consoles of all time. Dre says it hasn't. That means check for it after this video. Hey, I trust the man in judgment. But again, I say all that to say thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. And thank you, as always, for anybody who's out there watching, anybody who's out there engaged in our Facebook group, who's leaving, likes, comments on these videos. We appreciate you. We know who you are. Again, we've got time coming up where we're going to start shouting you guys out, because we appreciate the people that are active and they're engaged and keeping it respectful. And we've got that coming soon. So again, thank y'all. We appreciate y'all. Thank you for joining us here for this podcast. And we will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Deuces.